technical. We have a lot of venting. We have a lot. Thank you, Dwayne. I totally forgot to start that. We have a lot of venting. We share our feelings about a lot of things related to Microsoft and our tools. This is Happy Land. This is where we stay really positive about all the things that you can do. This is end user focused. It's a lot less of the technical. We want to make sure that if you have your hands on Copilot, you can use it. Or if you don't, you have a reason to get your hands on it and you can use it. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be going through those different things each month. We are open to feedback. This is only the third month we're doing it. We are totally open to adjusting, to making things more, you know, purposeful for you. So you let us know. Reach out an email, put it in the team, whatever you need to do, you can do it. But here's our October recap. I didn't make those people last month, so I had to make some Fight Club people. So there we go. I'm in the middle, Dwayne's on the left, and Carlos is on the right. I'm pretty excited about those ones. I was really pleased.
I
I'm
was
telling you,
really trying to figure out, like, that was a rough breakfast club. Like, what the heck? What
no,
happened?
this is the recap. See, this is the
Okay.
recap image. This is our Fight Club. This is if we were in Fight Club. This is
Got it.
as Pixar children. That's what we would look like. So we've added, if you're on here, hopefully you have been added to the team and not forwarded the invite. But you can stop by the Welcome to Club Copilot channel. We've got the recordings. We put the presentation slides in there. So anything you see goes in there. And then we also give you the recap. But we are talking about potentially making the recordings shareable. I know some folks, especially if you have, your C-suite, maybe they don't want to jump on. If you're a C-suite and you're here, kudos to you, shout out, thanks. But some folks want to just share it and they don't want to have their folks jump in. So we'll try to get you the recordings. We'll talk about that. But last month we talked about the different ways to access Copilot. So if you're looking for that, you can go there. We talked about a bunch of things that are what's new in Copilot Wave 2. Those were specifically sort of the end user pieces, but that link is live. It should be live, and it should take you to the blog. And then we did our Fight Club feature, which is prompting. And if you don't know how to prompt, I suggest you go back because prompting is our foundation. If we're building a house and we're talking about Copilot, the foundation of that house is prompting. In fact, part of the reason I love the image creation so much is that it's all based in really high quality prompting. So you're not going to get what you want if you're not putting in the right prompt. And then we ended with Q&A and we'll do the same today. So whoever has taken over the what's new with Copilot is able to take it from me. And I am going to say sayonara. So long, farewell.
Oh,
Auf Wiedersehen,
everybody wave
goodbye.
bye to Heather.
I will see you next month. They will give you the theme at the end.
Ooh.
We've got another club for you. All right. Have fun, friends.
And is this where you and I look at each other and figure out what's the next theme? Because
Yeah. Who's on first? I think we'll be fine. We call Heather lovingly, we call her Mama Bear. And so Mama Bear is on the way out, but I think we will
we're gonna trash the place.
yeah, probably. Okay. This is our plan for the what's new section of this. So you saw the breakdown from Heather. The idea is Copilot is changing and it's changing a lot. If you look at the Wave 2 announcement that she linked to earlier, came out middle of September, there was some really interesting information in there about the number of updates that have come out so far this year. It was 700 updates, 700 product updates, and 150 new features. So every single month, we anticipate having something new to tell you because they are constantly shipping something new. So that's a big part of this community call is kind of keeping you up to date with what's going on, because if you turn away for a second, you'll miss something. Then we'll head into our feature highlight, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So Carlos is going to talk to us a little bit about agents. That was also announced during Wave 2, and the some advanced analytics that we can do in Microsoft Excel with Copilot. So Carlos, if you want to go ahead and take control, you can drive the deck for a couple of minutes, and we'll talk about agents and stuff.
Perfect. And I'm probably going to go back and forth between some live demo here. So be ready because I'm going to I prayed to the demo gods to see how today goes. I wanted to just kind of start off by mentioning what Jethro just put in here into the yeah, into the chat because I thought I was excited with just playing with Wave 2 stuff and oh boy, get ready because it is like just holiday time coming right around the corner. And I'm not talking about actual holidays. I'm talking about all the goodness that's going to come from Ignite. We're going to announce so many cool things. So buckle up because it's going to be a fun ride. Jethro, if you've got any more Ignite information or how people could actually maybe follow, never mind. Dwayne just did it. There you go. This is why we don't even ask because Dwayne already put it on there where you can actually go to get up to speed and follow along with some of the main announcements. I don't believe that they have released the book of news just yet. I am really looking forward to the book of news. Here's a little bit of a pro tip because it's going to come out before our next call. Wait till that book of news comes out and throw Copilot against it. Start creating some really cool FAQs. Start querying against it. Asking it a bunch of different questions. I think that is going to be an absolute blast. All right, here we go. We're going to talk about Copilot agents, and it's going to be very short, kind of right to the point, because guys, this thing is still cooking, and it is cooking in a fast and incredible fun way. Every time I play with this, I'm like, oh my God, what else can I do? And what else can I do? So, and I know some of the stuff that we're about to announce with Ignite is going to just blow it up in a really cool way. So from an agent perspective, you might have seen a little bit of some change in terminology, right, in there. But agents and Copilot agents are basically built on the foundation of Copilot Studio. And I want you to kind of think about this a lot. Some people have played with Copilot Studio already. If you haven't, definitely check that out. Look into this. It's a low code, no code solution that it allows you to create an absolute incredible experience. And you can keep things as simple as possible, right? And then go as advanced as possible. Well, we announced Copilot agents, which I think just really lives in the simple part. And this is what I was begging for, what I was asking for, right? So we talked to a lot of K-12s. We talked to a lot of higher ed customers where they were like, hey, Copilot Studio is awesome, and I'm building some really cool stuff, but my typical professor, faculty member, this is going to be a little bit too complex for them, right? I need something even simpler, something that they can go and just to create an awesome experience for themselves or an awesome experience for their students. And this is exactly what agents are going to be able to do. I'll give you a little bit of a screenshot kind of sneak peek of what this could look like. But there's something that is just a little bit different. If you're kind of more on the IT side and you're on the developer side, you definitely want to go and build on Copilot Studio. I'm not saying faculty members can't do it. Absolutely. You're going to find a ton of power there if you want to play, and you're going to find it very easy. But just for your typical end users where you just want to create a quick FAQ agent, right? Or you want to kind of highlight a couple of different documents in there, and you want to create what I'll call an experience, right? Something that my students or something that I can kind of go and use to make my life easier. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of share my screen really fast and just kind of give you a little bit of a snippet of how crazy easy this is, knowing that, of course, things are going to get even better. So give me 1 second. Let me know when you guys can see my screen there. And perfect.
Looks good.
Give me a
I
little bit
got
of
you.
looks good. All right, perfect. All right. So here's what I want you to see. So I'm in just a SharePoint site. By the way, this is a total template. Created this in like about 2 seconds. So there's not like any real content in here. This is just something I put in there, and I was like, oh, let me create a learning kind of little mini central demo. in here, which I thought was kind of neat. I can go and I can click around, but what I'm really most interested in is just a quick document library in here. And there's a ton of things that we keep inside of SharePoint, right? A lot of institutional knowledge from different groups are inside of SharePoint. So you see all these different folders I've been playing with, different aspects of things, and I'm going to kind of go over here and just open up this quick folder that just has one thing, just one simple document over here. And what I did was I went to one of our public facing sites that had all the FAQs, or that's constantly being updated around M365. I thought that was kind of neat. Copy this, put this over into Word. And the process of actually creating an agent inside of SharePoint, which we announced as part of Wave 2. Look how simple this is. I'm going over here, I'm selecting the documents, or it could be multiple documents. I only have one in this case. In here that I can go and I can take a look, and then I'm going to select create an agent. And then it's going to kind of walk me through a mini wizard. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. It says, hey, we're creating it just based off of this document. And I can open the agent, and if I'm ready to kind of go and test it out, but I want to see like what's behind the scenes here. I want to understand it just a little bit better. So this is where I can just change the name. I can type in, by the way, notice how there's no code involved here. Type in a simple description of how I want, what the purpose of this agent is, how I want it to go and act. And I can go and start testing it out to see what it looks like. I can change the sources. I can add a document library or specific folders or uploads files in here. And if I want to just kind of tweak the behavior a little bit, right? So first thing that's going to do is going to give me some starter prompts, right? Do I want to summarize this? Do I want to create an FAQ? Do I want to figure out how I can use these resources? Those are like the typical starter prompts that everybody kind of goes with. But if I know what I want to do with this, or I know what I'm going to do with this all the time, because I'm creating an experience for me or for my students, I can go in there and I can totally change this to have different types of starter prompts. And I can really, this is the part that, in my opinion, where all the magic happens. The instructions for the agent. Describe how the agent should engage with the users. And this is where I'm going to go in there and just tell it everything that I possibly can, the tone, what I wanted to say. And just in case you have no idea where to even start, the way that I did, maybe the first, 20 times, I went into Copilot, and I know you're going to talk about this a little bit later, Dwayne, but I went into Copilot for web and Copilot with enterprise data protection. And what I started to do there in Microsoft Copilot is I said, act as a Copilot studio agent, creator, expert, and I want you to give me the best possible instructions. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Here's my audience. Here's this, here's that. And created it in under, we'll say, 1,000 characters or 2,000 characters. And it was just spitting out absolute gold. Copied this thing, pasted it. And then I created a nice little agent. In this case, I would go and I would hit save on here, and I'm going to kind of just get out of here. And once I just go and hit create, an automatic agent would be created. It happens insanely fast. So let's kind of look and see what this FAQ looked like. I want you to notice it's just like a file format. It's sitting and living here inside of the SharePoint. The people that have access to the SharePoint document library would be the people that would have access to this agent, right? So once again, we totally respect the security and the policies that have been put in place by the institution. So I'm going to go and I'm going to select the ellipses here, and I'm going to go toward open it. And when I open it, I can open it in full screen or sidebar. So I'm a big fan of the sidebar view, and I can go in here and start typing in a bunch of questions here. So just to get that experience. So I want to say over here something like, what is OneDrive? I got to believe people are asking that in FAQ at some point. I think everybody in this call knows what OneDrive is, but there it is. It's kind of telling me exactly what it is. It's referencing a specific document. There it is. All right, so let's ask it a couple more questions. How do I obtain a backup of my Microsoft 365 Office product? Let's just see. And if you misspell something, once again, the beauty of natural language with all things Copilot, it's going to totally understand. If you're one of those fast typers like me that may or may might accidentally, mistakenly
misspell a word or two over here. So notice the footnotes where I can go once again, exactly where this is within that document. Guys, I want you to think about how many agents you're going to be able to create. This is a SharePoint agent version, right? But then there's more. There's so much more. You're going to be able to create Copilot agents inside of BizChat, which is super, super cool, right? Just a couple of clicks and you can go and create your own version. You can go and share this inside of Teams, inside of a chat. And I've gone into like higher ed mode and I went absolutely crazy. I had a faculty member tell me, hey, I want to create a negotiation model. I was like, let's do it. And I started creating an agent that helps practice negotiation for business school students. I had someone else tell me we want to create a mentor bot. So we have a list of student mentors that all of a sudden are just a nice little repository inside of a Excel sheet. And basically they wanted to say, we want to go and match up students to these possible mentors, in their first years of school. And I think that kind of, once again, just outside the box thinking is absolutely cool. So that was a little bit of a sneak peek, more coming in the very, very near future, but a little bit of a sneak peek. Hopefully everybody got to see how simple that is. I'm going to shift over into another announcement that we had within Wave 2, which is the Python access. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. First of all, I want you to not freak out. This is not real data, real information. I've got some fake names in here, job titles. I've got hire dates. I've got annual salary. I went into HR mode over here, pretended to be an HR person, and I had Copilot create a bunch of fake data here as much as I possibly could. So maybe this might have happened to you guys, maybe not, but every once in a while, I get a fancy Excel sheet that looks just like this, and people send it to me, and I know it's kind of going really, really slow because I'm zooming in here as I'm scrolling down as much as possible, but this has over about 1,000 rows easily, and I'll get a call that says, or a Teams message that says, "Hey Carlos, what do you think about this?" And I'm like, "Looks great. This is great data. What should I do?" Right? So there's a couple of things that a lot of you guys are already aware that Excel can do, from a Copilot perspective in here. I'm going to show you my absolute favorite buttons, right? This is not necessarily part of Wave 2, but this is where I would start. My favorite button is Show Data Insights. I can go and I can query against a ton of this data, but I just want to go and click on Show Data Insights and see as many of these as I can, because it's kind of just looking at, once again, just a table format, understanding the business units. It's maybe going to give me some information tied from a bonus percentage or a department percentage. So there it is. It's going and analyzing it. It's giving me some quick points, and I'm going to press this button about 10 times so you can see all of the nice little pivot charts that it's creating. Now I said, hey, let's add all of these insights that you just created into the grid, right? Into a new sheet. So a new sheet got created, and now it's going to automatically go and paste all of that. So far, so good. This might be good enough for you. But every once in a while, some of us are being told, okay, this is not enough. I need to really dive in deeper into what's possible with this data. So let me show you what we did from a Python perspective. So I'm going to scroll all the way back up into these little starter prompts that we have. Create formulas, understand. This is the one, by the way, this is the one that really, really stands out. It's called advanced analysis. And when you go and you do advanced analysis, right over here, it's going to say, hey, here's who I am. Here's all the things that I can do. And I'm going to select a button that says Start Advanced Analysis. So it's going to open up a brand new sheet called Analysis 1 or Analysis 2, depending on how many times you've gone and done this. And it's going to go and try to make an understanding. It's going to create some Python code for you, and it's going to try to understand all of the data here where you can use Python to actually go and query against this. Doesn't have to just be the beauty of this doesn't have to be just data inside of Excel. You can actually go and because if you're using Python code, you can go and tie this into external data sources as well, right? And you can run the code across. So in this case, what I'm doing, I'm looking at some of my starter prompts, which is really, really neat. I'm trying to see exactly what Copilot can do with this data. So it's saying, hey, I can analyze the distribution of annual salaries across different departments. I can examine the gender distribution. That's actually something really, really interesting. I'm going to go and I'm going to select that one. I'm very curious to see the gender distribution between different business units, right? And as it's doing this, I want you to notice how it's creating more and more information over here in my analysis page, very similar to what I was doing earlier, right? But I can go and I can query so much deeper. And if for whatever reason I need that Python code in there, all I have to do is go and select the actual, let's see, I'm going to scroll back up over here. I'm going to go and select right into the thread, and you're going to be able to go and see the Python code that is necessary here. If you don't like what you're seeing, for example, this just did it in a nice little bar graph, and I want to go and say, hey, show me the visualization a little bit different. Remember, you just have to talk to Copilot like your personal assistant. Here I'm going to go and I'm going to examine the salary distribution. Once again, it's going to go and give me all that information. It is so much more powerful on what I can do from a data analysis perspective and eventually a data prediction, right? So when you could add some predictive analytics to this, it's just mind blowing on what the possibilities are. So that was just a little sneak peek into some of the stuff that we're working on. Once again, more coming very, very soon. Dwayne, I'm going to pass it back on to you for our next topic. What else
Awesome.
is there, Dwayne, with Wave 2?
There's not enough time to talk about it all, Carlos, but we are going to go through a couple more of the what's new things. Real quick, nobody responded to my random obscure pop quiz that I put in the chat. If you recall episode 1 of Club Copilot, we had vocabulary words. We thought that would be fun since we're all in education. We should start with good old-fashioned vocabulary words. But what Carlos was doing with agents was he was ground. Oh wait, Marge, did you get it? Sorry, I just saw you say that. Let me scroll back up
Marge
before I
gets
ruin it.
everything.
Well, that's
I've
true.
learned never to
Marge
question
wins by
Marge.
default. So, but it was grounding. That was the vocabulary word I was looking for. Answer engine is great. You are definitely making an answer engine, that's for sure. But agents allowing you to specify the data source that you want the agent to prefer when it answers your questions is really, really powerful. I've already seen some things in the chat about SharePoint sites that contain certain types of materials, and you just want to make an experience where people can just ask questions about all those materials. Pretty powerful stuff. We are going to jump into Narrative Builder and then also Copilot Academy real quick before I hand it over to Will to talk about coaching in Copilot. So I'll share my screen. We're going to take turns sharing screens today. A little bit. Told you when Heather's not here, we get a little carried away. So Narrative Builder was one of the newer announcements from Wave 2. And if you've used Copilot inside of PowerPoint before, you're probably familiar with the option over here on the right-hand side where you can say, I want to ask questions about this document, or I want to create a presentation, or maybe I want to create a presentation from a specific file. You can still do that, but to get to the newer experience of creating, you would click this little Copilot over here, and this guy will give you this option. So if I click this, I'm now in the beginnings of what is called Narrative Builder. And what this lets you do is define the structure of your PowerPoint presentation before you commit to the actual creation of the PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to paste in a prompt. If you've ever seen me present, you've probably seen me talk about rain barrels before. I don't know why. I used to work in agriculture and I live in a place where it rains all the time. So it makes sense to me. So we're just going to run with it. But this is going to have Copilot create a PowerPoint presentation on how to build a rain barrel. So we're going to run with that for a second, and you'll see a difference here. So notice it's not actually creating slides yet. It hasn't even touched the PowerPoint deck yet. It is giving me like I said, the structure of it. I have these little handles here that I can grab, and now I can kind of move things around, and I can add additional sections if I wanted to. So maybe in between the introduction to it, I want to add my own section. in here, I can also reference other files that are inside of my my environment. So if I have a file in my OneDrive or something in SharePoint, I can point to that and say, hey, I would really like to include data points, for instance, from this file that I have with lots of data I've gathered about rain barrels. So I could also just say, you know, add a, whoops, that's my caps lock key, add a section about the ecological benefits of building a rain barrel in a residential area. Getting a little bit more specific there. You know, Carlos, after doing this prompt so many times, I don't know why I literally don't have rain barrels all over my yard. I should have so many by this point. So I got I got to add that section, and now I can generate the slides. I can actually tell Copilot, okay, go through the deck and start generating the actual material for me. I still will be prompted to accept it. Very important aspect of Copilot. We talked about that early on. Whenever you tell Copilot to do something, it's going to give you its initial draft, we'll call it. And then the human has to say, yes, I want to keep that. And so when you say keep it, you've kind of accepted the content Copilot has created. We've now added it to the presentation. But you can see here I'm in grid view, and it's you know, it's building out quite a bit of stuff here. So this is actually turning out to be a much larger. Yeah, it's a much larger presentation than I expected. So there we go. This is the button I was talking about. I have to select keep it. If I don't, it's going to erase everything that was that it built. So I am going to go ahead and click keep it. Another option that's pretty cool is you know, if you're, let me go into edit mode, and I'm looking at this slide. In the side pane, and shout out to Will Thomas for reminding me that this is now available. We can do image generation directly in the side chat of PowerPoint, so we don't have to switch over to business chat or designer or something else. I can ask it to just generate an image. Generate an image of a hacksaw cutting a PVC pipe. So I don't know. That's not a great prompt. We know from last week you have a lot more details that you would want to include in your prompt, but I you know, I'm in a hurry.
So, I was slightly concerned your responsible AI is going to block you, Hero. So let's see what happens.
I mean, you know, cutting. Carlos, that is your fault. I think this is good. I think this happened last week. Every once in a while, you bump into a responsible AI check. My prompt is not like offensive, I don't think, but maybe it's, you know, it's close enough. So I'll try again. So generate an image of a PVC pipe draining water. Let's do that.
Good question here by Marge, Dwayne. So can you just elaborate a little bit on why it was blocked? Other than it doesn't like you?
Yeah, we're probably going to go with it doesn't like me right now, but I would say hacksaw and cutting something maybe possibly could be seen as some type of aggression in some way. And I will say this, you want Copilot to err on the side of caution. Like if you ever get frustrated with the fact that it's not generating an image for you, please just shift your perspective and think about, well, what if it did generate images of, like, I want to make an image of Dwayne robbing a bank. You know, now we're fabricating things of people doing stuff that didn't actually happen and didn't exist. So I would much rather it err on the side of caution. So I could grab this and I could insert it into my picture, you know, move it over here and make it a part of my presentation. That, in a world of content authoring and storytelling and being worried about usage rights on images, look at what I just did. Like, I didn't even leave PowerPoint. This image didn't exist until I just created it right then and there, because that's what I needed for that slide, you know, theoretically. So I think that's that is pretty powerful. The next thing that I was going to talk about was Learning Academy, or Copilot Academy, I should say, in Viva Learning. This is now available, I think, to everybody with a Copilot license. So Copilot Academy will show up in the Viva Learning app. I'm doing it here in Teams. But up here at the top, you can get to Academies and Microsoft Copilot Academy. This is a great resource to make sure that when you assign a Copilot license to someone, that you make sure that they know that this is there. Because this is built-in training built right into Viva Learning that they can access really quickly, and they can go through these little modules and they can watch modules on prompting. And there's one right there, responsible AI. That's what we just actually had happen, with my hacksaw cutting prompt. So getting into Copilot Academy, definitely a resource that you want to highlight and make sure that people with a license are aware it exists. And maybe even, tell them, hey, you have to do this once you get your license or something like that. So. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Will to talk to us about coaching, because if you've ever sent an email and then immediately regretted it, you will want to see this.
Thanks, Dwayne. I'll try my camera. We'll see if it works. Sweet.
Hey, we got you.
So like Dwayne said, have you ever sent an email and then immediately wanted to recall it? You didn't check it, or maybe it was a little rude, or you've sent an email off to a colleague and asked them to proofread it for you before you send it. Well, now we don't need to do that. We can use Copilot. Let me get my screen shared here. Before I show you the feature we actually want to talk about today, I just wanted to point out that this is Classic Outlook here, and I can do the coaching with Copilot in here. However, this new feature is not in Classic Outlook yet. I would assume that would come a little bit later. I just want to point out, because I know people, we like our Classic Outlook, so we can still do coaching in here. So you can go on there after you've written your email, hit that Coaching by Copilot, and you can see all the recommendations it's going to give me. I also want to point out that I actually have New Outlook and Classic Outlook open at the same time. So if you're one of those users who just have to have your Classic, but you want to use the new features in New Outlook, you can do that at the same time. All right, so now I am in New Outlook. I have my email here. This is a email from a manager to his staff saying that they're leaving the cafeteria a mess. They need to do a better job, but he's written it very unprofessionally. You can read through that if you want. It's kind of funny. I actually had Copilot write this for me. I said, generate an email that's very rude to his staff about this topic. But I'm going to go up and we're going to wonder where my Copilot button is. Am I blind? I don't see it.
It's top right corner on top of New Outlook. There it is.
That's the wrong one up there. I want this one here. Here we go.
Yeah.
So
sometimes it triggers it.
Blow that one up. All right. So now we've got the same thing. It's now giving us our recommendations. But the new thing we have here is this blue button in the bottom right corner of that coaching where it says apply all suggestions. So if I click this button, it's actually going to take a combination of all the suggestions it gave us, and it's going to rewrite our email for us. And so from here, I can read through this, and I have a couple options here. Maybe it's close, but not quite right. I can regenerate. We've seen that before. It's just going to give me a different version. Or I can say something like insert below. So maybe there's something in there I like, but I don't want to take the whole thing. So I can insert it below, and it's going to put that down here. I can then copy the bit that I like out of here and paste it in my email and kind of modify it and tweak it that way. So that's the new feature we have with Outlook. It's very nice. My guess would be that's just going to improve with time. Maybe we'll be able to do like bits and pieces and not do the whole thing at once. But that's a big, nice improvement there. That's all I got, Dwayne. Back to you.
Okay.
Or back to Carlos.
Yeah, that's a huge time saver, really. Is the previous coach, it would give you great feedback, but it was up to you to manually peel out the suggestions it made and then figure out how to integrate that into your existing email. And this is, Copilot's all about saving time and having speed. And this is a huge, huge update. And I feel like that actually makes coach something you need to do pretty much every time you write an email. Just always ask coach. It doesn't take any time. Maybe adds a couple of seconds, but it could save you a lot of time from sending an email that you might regret. So,
Dwayne, this is a funny one. I have to mention it. This is there an I'm not mad, just disappointed type of tone that we can apply in there? And it's not a button, but you could have totally highlighted all of the content in there, hit the Copilot button, and say rewrite this.
Well, the rewrite is is coming. Rewrite is coming. And yeah, I would say a combination of coaches' suggestions and then going back and asking Copilot to rewrite. So we haven't really gotten into too many application demos just yet. But when we get into things like Microsoft Word, you'll see there's capabilities to take existing blocks of text and then just right click on it and say either auto rewrite, which Copilot will just do what it wants, or you can say, write a prompt, which will allow you to specify your own tone. And I imagine I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Could be a tone that you could specify.
I think Chris, this is a business enterprise solution. Okay, not for you to be using this with your children. I think he's trying to diversify his use of Copilot. That's all.
I'm gonna pull the slides back up and try to get us before the music plays. So apologies if it does. Got it. I was quick. Okay. It's all the Call of Duty. Anyway, so the highlight, the topic highlight, feature highlight, which we'll go through in roughly 5 to 10 minutes, because we're running out of time, and I want to make sure we leave time for open Q&A for those of you. Our feature of the month is Work Chat, Web Chat, and I know that sounds like two features. It kind of is, but a Copilot licensed user will see two chat experiences. And you may ask the question, well, which one am I supposed to use to do? Like, which one do I use? Do I just use Work Chat now that I have access to Work Chat? Or should I ever go back to Web Chat and use it? And this will be a little bit conversational, and I'll pull my screen up and share a few things, but I'd definitely be curious to hear from my colleagues how they do it. I use both personally. But before we get into the screen sharing, we should actually define each one so that we understand, well, what's the difference? What do they do? So if you are a licensed user, you see a toggle up at the top when you open up what we call office.com/chat. So I'll put that in the chat. We all used this last week when we were generating super cool images of dogs. I had a great time seeing all the creations that you all made. Hopefully you all got some cute pictures out of it too. But we did that through office.com/chat. So if you have the license, you'll see work mode. So a toggle up at the top. When you are in work mode, and there's a vocabulary word, it's on the screen right now, Microsoft Graph. So if anybody remembers that, it was content and context. That's your stuff. That's the things that you have in your OneDrive, the SharePoint sites and teams that you're a member of, and your email in your mailbox. And all of those things are stored in the graph. So if you are using Work Chat, all of those things become an option. All of those things become resources that chat session could touch. And yes, Jack, Biz Chat it's a thing, I guess. The button actually says work though. So that's why I'm gonna go with Work Chat, because it says work. Oh, I messed up the link. I apologize. Hang tight. Hang on. I'm sorry about that. Office.com/chat. There we go. Should work now. So yes, biz chat, or business chat was the term. Biz chat was what cool kids were saying. Biz talk definitely makes it confusing. So I'll go with work chat and web chat, because that is what the actual UI, the button says.
I need people to stop for 1 second trying to make sense of certain things. Okay, you guys should know by now we have 10 names for everything. It's a work in progress. Okay, we're getting better, but I do like biz chat. I can go with that.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Name.
Okay.
I can go with it.
We've got one in the biz chat column. It's Carlos. Yeah, biz chat's fun to say, I guess. But like I said, I'll stick with the button and its label for the time being until that changes. But if you have been using generative AI, if you've been using services like ChatGPT or Copilot, and you like this idea of having a conversation with the AI, going back and forth and actually collaborating with it, ideating. We talked during the prompting lesson about iteration and regeneration. All of that can happen, but work chat is where you could do that with all the context and content of what you have access to in work. And I find people, when they get their license, they typically go straight to, apps. They go into Teams, or they go into Outlook, or they go into Word, and they see all these entry points to use Copilot. But all of those are designed with some sort of intention in mind. Like if I'm going into Microsoft Word and I'm using Copilot in Microsoft Word, there's an idea there that I'm probably drafting content in Word, or maybe asking questions about a particular Word document that I'm looking at. But what if I want to ask questions about numerous data sources? Take get something from an email and then compare it to a template in a Word document, and those types of things. You can do that in this work chat experience. So I encourage people, since we just talked about prompting, the next logical step is to get over into work chat and start practicing prompting and using your content and context to access all the things that are in your environment that you can access. Now, on the flip side, we have web mode. What if you were asking questions, you're doing research? I am doing some research. I'm investigating, maybe a new technique for doing something, or maybe there's some news, or I don't know, I'm trying to figure out who won the Georgia Tech game. If I got any Georgia Tech people here, that's kind of a big deal. So those types of things, web chat is a great place to do that, because you don't necessarily need or want access to your organizational data. I'm doing public research for my IT friends who are on the call. Maybe you're writing a PowerShell script and you know of a module that has all the commands in it. So you can just tell Web Copilot, hey, go look at this page, look at all the commandlets that are available there, and help me write my script, or Python, or whatever language it might be. Do you need access to internal emails and Word documents and meetings to write a Python script? Right. So each time you pull it up, there's a little bit of a decision to make, I would say, on which one you want to use. So let me share my screen. And while I'm doing that, if my colleagues have anything to say, please do.
Just my 2 cents. You know, I'm a big fan of all things biz chat, right? So, but yes, if I'm doing some quick, like, I'm gonna say research, right? If I'm doing anything that I really want to go and leverage the web, I will go and flip back and forth and use the web. But the majority of my personal day to day is all grounded on institutional data. That's where I find like 90% of everything that I need. It's a nice option to flip back and forth, but just the fact that I think I could get a little bit of both using the work tab. That's where I live pretty much every single day. I don't know about you, Will.
I spend my day in Copilot everywhere. But I will say that this is the place where I see the most time savings, for sure.
Yeah, Carlos kind of skipped ahead of me there a little bit. Classic
Sorry,
Carlos.
I'm sorry.
Classic
You
Carlos.
never asked for my opinion, Dwayne. Never asked for my opinion. I get excited.
So I'm going to show a few of the different entry points that you can get to this, because I want to demonstrate that it's all the same chat. So here I'm in my browser. This is the link I dropped in the chat earlier, but I kind of mangled it. I apologize. I do prefer office.com/chat. I just find that to be super easy to remember. I can get to it really quickly. Office.com/chat. It's easy to say. This is the same chat as if I were to open up Microsoft Teams and click on the Copilot button above all of my teams. Now notice I'm missing something. I don't have work or web in this experience. I just have work. So I'm not going to toggle back and forth. But if you look at my history over here, excuse me, over here on the right-hand side, if I go back into my email, I've got most of my history. These two should be gone because I deleted them. They came back. But it's the same history. It's the same chat. If I am an Outlook user and maybe you don't use Teams. So let's say your organization does not use Teams at all. Well, that's okay because if I'm in Outlook, there's a Copilot here. Guess what? It's going to open the same chat after it logs me in, apparently, because why not? It just worked like 10 minutes ago. I don't know
Security
why.
first going. Security
Yeah,
first.
I don't know why
It
would
was
do that.
because you were trying to give me a hard time.
There we
and
go. There we go. Okay.
Copilot's got my back.
It was a ghost login. We'll just ignore it. So this is the same chat. So we have different entry points to all get back to the same experience. And so whatever you're comfortable with, that's what you should use. If you're comfortable with Teams, boom, right there. Or if you use all of these apps, you should be aware that all of these entry points exist because you're just that much closer to getting right back into work chat if you want to. One thing I'll point out that a lot of people are excited about, Green Shield is back. Green Shield, Team Green Shield wins. So that is something we have always told users to look for, to know that they're in a protected session. We did that. Yes, Madam President, Marge, we brought the Green Shield back. This experience is important. You want your users to know that that Green Shield is there. If they are using the wrong address, the old address, check this out. This is very different. What can I call you? Oh, you can call me Carlos.
Oh boy, here we go.
and look at this experience. This is consumer Copilot. This is what the rest of the non-business world, Hotmail users and stuff like that see. Your users will not see a green shield in this experience. And if they don't, they should just close out and head back over to the chat here. Now, one thing that Carlos skipped ahead on a little bit is our definition was work chat gives me access to my content and context in the Microsoft Graph. Web chat gives me the large language model and Bing search index. I can ask current questions. So who won the 2024 World Series, and give me a history of World Series appearances for each team. So I could do something like this. This is relatively new information, right? When was the World Series? A couple weeks ago. Wow, that's a lot. So I hit MLB.com, Baseball Almanac, of course, Wikipedia. Those are all things that I was able to reach out to. No internal information will be accessed in this particular experience. However, over on the work side, I have more options. I have the large language model itself, which is super smart, tons of information available inside of it. I have my organizational information, which is content, context, Microsoft Graph. But I also have the option to use web content if I want to. You can turn this on and off, which means, you kind of get the best of everything all in one shot. And it depends on how you create your prompt. So this prompt I'm going to use here, zoom in a little bit for you. So I want to create a math test, except I want to make sure that it aligns with the Florida best standards. So, but I also used a keyword there that's pretty important. I said current Florida best standards. So what this is going to do is this is going to encourage Copilot to also use the web. So let's see, we're going to cross our fingers because I had one glitch already. So hopefully, okay, I actually saw it for a moment. It said searching the web for relevant results. So we'll see that in the references down here. It did do a web search because I asked it to, more or less. So if I had information inside my environment about creating a math test or about this particular topic, I could be a little bit more specific with organizational jargon there. It would search for those types of materials internally, but at the same time, it would also go out to the web and search for current information, because maybe that standard changed in the last few months, for instance. I'll grab a link for all of you in case you admins are curious. And I'll also pull it up on, I'll pull it up on screen for sake of the recording, because this is important. There's a table here that has like a fictitious matrix of, if your prompt were to look like this, here's what we would send over to Microsoft Bing, and we would perform a Bing search. And one thing that I want you to see is this is the user's prompt, right? And this is what we sent to Bing. They're not the same thing. We do not send everything that you asked to Bing, because what if your prompt had sensitive type information inside of it? In the very near future, we are going to be including the query that was sent to Bing in the results that you get. So when you hover over this, you'll actually see, well, what Bing search did you do to find that? And that's some nice transparency there around what is being sent over to Bing. But bringing it all back home, work chat, if you are looking for that chat type experience, but you want it to be all about your data that's inside your organization, this is the place to do it. I can ask questions about files. I can bring different files together, so I could compare the differences in the warranty between, and then I can do my / and I'm going to look for the E900 device policy versus the warranty agreement, and format the differences in a table. Think about what I'm about to do. First of all, one of these is a Word doc, the other one is a PDF. If you were to use a comparison tool in Word, it's just going to tell you keywords that are different. Like, you know, these characters don't match these characters. This is actually going to analyze the two documents, reason over them, and identify functional differences between them, such as, you know, here is the warranty period for the first policy versus this one is 24 months. Imagine comparing quotes, right? Or contracts, or I don't know, fill in the blank from different places. BizChat, WorkChat, that is the tool that lets you do stuff like that. And it's pretty powerful. I think you should definitely go check it out. So we have 4 minutes for Q&A. I'm so sorry that took so long. We'll blame Carlos for most of it. And if you have a question, please raise your hand and or throw it in the chat. We'll try to get through it here quick. Let's see. Greg. Hey, Greg. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fine. Is the camera allowed for the Q&A session?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. This one's not like
Cool.
office hours. We're more laid back.
Anything
All right.
goes, Greg. Almost anything.
All right, cool. So we, of course, just got our licenses for Copilot, and we have a Copilot crew out there doing the Copilot stuff. But I had a meeting and I decided, hey, let's turn on the Copilot stuff during the meeting. And I found out that our transcriptions were not turned on. And it said that in order to use Copilot with the transcriptions, I got to say, hey, either on or off. So when I went to the policies to turn it on, is it better to create a new policy and set the Copilot group to the new policy? Or should I just turn it on for the entire tenant and just don't care and don't worry about it?
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that question for you. I will say that transcriptions are required because if you remember at the base layer, we're working with a large language model that needs text-based input. And so we have to be able to turn spoken word into text via transcription. And then we feed that to the LLM to understand it. So bottom line, like we do need some sort of transcript. I don't know what your lawyers say, if you're allowed to transcribe everywhere or what. But via Teams Admin Center, you could definitely create a policy and scope it to the Copilot licensed users if you want to. But I'm going to defer to folks like Madam President and lawyers and stuff like that on if you should do that. Technically, yes, you could do it for everybody.
Okay.
There's
I
probably
know
other factors.
Marge is in Texas, so I know she would have a good answer for us
Yeah.
regarding that. What are they doing at University of Texas there?
Yeah.
There's a 41-page AI bill about to be submitted into the legislature.
Use Copilot to summarize it, Greg.
I did.
Hey, so is transcription turned on at UT?
It can be.
Thank
But
you.
gotta be.
It's
Thank you.
It can be. That's a great
Right.
answer. I
Right.
love it.
What about
Oh my
you
gosh,
and T,
Carlos,
Dwayne?
what? Or no, that's Chris. What nightmare fuel is this
Yeah,
in the chat? I
Chris
don't. That's terrifying.
we need
Anyway,
the
moving on.
you need the ejection button for Chris. We need to
Yeah.
hit the ejection button. Quick question over here that popped up. I thought this was neat. I'm trying to find it, Marge, but I see it over here. Someone asked earlier if the agents generates an additional cost, right?
Agents are a part of M365 Copilot licensing. So they're included in that. If you have a license, you can create an agent. If you have a license, you can consume an agent.
Yep.
If
Today-
you wanted to make a chat style experience available to users who did not have a Copilot license, that would be Copilot Studio. And you can publish that bot in different locations, and there's different ways of consuming the, I don't know, there's like interactions you get for it. I'm not a licensing expert. We need an AI for understanding licensing.
AI for the AI for the AI. So another question that kind of popped up over here, I thought this was kind of neat. So they took a little bit of a peek at your screen, and we didn't really speak to this. We talked about SharePoint agents, right? But inside of BizChat, inside of Teams, you were there and you basically went on Copilot. And on that right-hand side, there was a nice little button that says create an agent that I think a couple people saw, which was really, really cool.
Okay.
So this is something we're hoping to just highlight a little bit more. We're waiting to see kind of what else gets announced. Where, it's one of those things where I think they on in the Ignite side of the house, they have like, what I'll say is like, we'll say 700 new features, and then at some point they decide, okay, we're only going to talk about these 75 features, right? And the other stuff is stuff that they're working on for future, right? So we're waiting to see kind of what gets announced. But from the Copilot agent perspective, if you would have gone and clicked on that, it's a same process. It looks identical to what I just showed with SharePoint, right? It's just an easier way to kind of go and create your own personal agents in there. So if I was to give you my quick 30-second pitch, subject to change, on how this kind of works. If I'm going to create a SharePoint agent, it's because I want to give an awesome experience to everybody in that SharePoint environment that has access to that document library or that group that I'm constantly interacting with, and I want everybody to go and interact with that agent. If I'm creating a personal Copilot agent, for example, like every single FAQ that comes my way, I'm going to go and create this in BizChat and create my own agent there and just upload those documents. And that is just for me or my favorite friends, Will and Dwayne and Heather, who I will go and add to a chat and say, check this out. And they can go and get access to that. So really, really cool stuff. We'll be definitely be highlighting this a little bit more in the near future.
Yep. And one thing real quick about the studio is not my expertise, area of expertise, but one thing that Steve said in the chat that I think is helpful to point out is if you do use a Copilot Studio bot and you ground it in a SharePoint document library, because that's where you want people to be able to ask questions, the users do need to have access to the information itself as well. If, remember the graph, Copilot, the graph is content and context. It applies in that scenario as well. If they don't have access to the repository behind it, well, then they're not going to be able to ask questions about it because they won't be able to get to it. But thank you everybody for joining us. I forgot, let me pull this up real quick because I don't want Heather to get mad at me.
She would get mad.
We have to announce the next club. We got it. It. So let me resume slides.
What is the next club?
December. So we are headed to the ski club, which is going to be really challenging for Florida Man here. to do. I don't even know how to imagine this
I-
scene. I don't know what's happening.
I've never even skied before. Have you?
Me either. I've seen snow like a couple of times.
It's yeah.
I'll live
In the Hallmark
vicariously through the
channel.
rest of you. Tell me what it's like to be cold because it was like 87 today. It's awesome.
It is perks of
Yeah.
living in the Sunshine State. All right, guys, have a great
Yeah.
week, and go play with some Copilot.
Yeah. Awesome, y'all. See you next time. Appreciate you stopping by.